Hey, y'all. Happy Thanksgiving and welcome into our Saints Bills pregame live chat. This is the Bud Light Ingredients to Saints Victory live chat with Deuce McAllister's Ingredients to Saints Success coming at you shortly. He should be joining here sometime around 5:15. It's a moving target. He's a busy guy, but we'll get him in here. Until then, you're stuck with me. My name's Jeff Nowak, WWL digital sports producer. Going to get you ready for all the action coming at you from the Caesars Superdome in Week 12. Could get ugly. It could get ugly. There are a lot of injuries, which has not been new. It's nothing new for the Saints this season. But this one feels extra significant. On a short week, you didn't have Alvin Kamara the last 2 weeks. You won't have him again today. And you're not going to have Mark Ingram, the guy you went out and traded for to help bolster that backfield. The guy who started the last few weeks, he's not there as well. The good news, Tony Jones made his return from injured reserve last week. And I imagine he'll get the lion's share of the carries today in the backfield. It looks like Trevor Simeon's going to start. And, yeah, they'll go from there. Didn't have Ryan Ramczyk or Teron Armstead. Never a good situation when you're going into a game without either of your tackles last week in Philadelphia. Looks like Ryan Ramczyk is going to try to play today. Teron is out. Just the hits keep on coming. Adam Troutman had probably the biggest game of his young career in Philadelphia, had a few really nice catches, a nice leaping grab to secure a ball and help the Saints try to make their rally in the fourth quarter last week. He's out for the foreseeable future. He's on IR with a knee injury. Can't catch a break. I'm going to flash up the injury report right here really quick. And let's see. Doing this live. Bear with me. There it is. I'll make this full screen so you can actually see it. Get my mug out of there. And yeah, so here we have it. This is the injury report for this week. It's actually not that long relative to the number of players that are out because so many players are on injured reserve or done for the year. Obviously, Michael Thomas is out. Will Lutz is out. CJ Gardner-Johnson's on IR. So these are the guys who aren't on IR. And as you can see, you got four important players there. Obviously, Alvin Kamara, Ryan Ramczyk. Oh, I'm sorry. Teron Armstead is the one who's going to try to go. Ryan Ramczyk is the one that's out. I'm sorry, I mixed that up. So Ryan Ramczyk, Alvin Kamara, Marcus Davenport, Tano Passanio are all out. Mark Ingram and Teron Armstead were listed as questionable. It's been reported that Mark Ingram will not go today. So again, that's going to be probably Tony Jones, some combination of him and probably Ty Montgomery, maybe some Taysom Hill sprinkled in. As you can see, he was listed on the injury report with that foot issue, but he was a full practice all week. He will go. Trevor Simeon also was listed with a hand issue. He said it's not a big deal. He said, show me a player at this point in the season who's not dealing with an injury, and I will show you someone who is not playing football. That's what he said. So he's prepared to go. It looks like he's going to be the starting quarterback this week. I'm a little disappointed. I thought this was going to be the week that they went full with Taysom Hill, but we're sticking with Trevor Simeon. He needs to figure out a way to get things rolling earlier in the game. He has struggled to get things untracked in the first three quarters of these games for whatever reason. And he's really, once the defense kind of opens up and allows more space, he's been firing away. Got to get that earlier in the game. Got to stay in these games and not need those comebacks. But that's what we're looking at. On the other side, it's a very short injury report for the Bills. You got Cole Beasley, Tremaine Edmonds are the only players on there. Both were full practice on Wednesday, and both have no game day designation, which appears they're going to go. So about as injured as you could get versus about as healthy as you can get. And we're going to see what happens. But all right, looks like we have Deuce in the background here. I'm going to lose this injury report, and we'll hear from him. Let's see. I want to make sure he's got his camera set up first. I don't want to put him in here sideways. All right, Deuce, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Jeff. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Thanksgiving. How'd your Thanksgiving go this morning?
It hadn't been too bad. I mean, it's always good when you can hang with a little family and friends and watch a little football, and so not a bad day at all.
That's good to hear. Yeah, I've been in the same boat. I've been just waiting around for this game all day. It looks like you're already there at the Dome. How's the atmosphere kind of heading into the Thanksgiving showdown looking like?
Well, I mean, Buffalo is excited, no doubt about that. They have a ton of people here, which was expected. You know, when you look at the weather, I think it was maybe low 40s up in Buffalo, New York, in the last couple of days, and to be able to come down to mid 60s to New Orleans and enjoy for a couple of days over Thanksgiving. So they're excited. I mean, but so far, I think for the Saints, I mean, you've got a ruling team, and they're ruling for a lot of different reasons. First and foremost, because of the injuries. And it's really who is available more so than who is not available. I mean, because when you look at it, you've got high-end starters across the board, offense and defense, that aren't available for you. And so Buffalo's not going to say, all right, we feel sorry for you. We're going to pause this game and, kind of mellow it in for you. The Saints have to figure out a way to go out and play. They have to figure out a way to not hurt themselves and give themselves a chance.
Yeah, it seems like it's a very similar situation to the last week with all the injuries. Obviously, didn't go to plan. What is the biggest thing the Saints need to correct this time around to avoid a repeat of what happened in Philadelphia?
Well, you can't turn the ball over, first and foremost. I think that's one of the most important things when you look at this team, putting your defense out there in stressful situations and high-end situations. Time and time again, you're eventually going to break them. And so that's really what happened last week. For this team, they've got to figure out a way to start fast. I don't care if Sean goes no huddle in the first quarter, even if it's, a muddle huddle type look, just to be able to get them going, some type of rhythm. And the other thing is, can they create some turnovers early? Buffalo has turned the football over the last couple of weeks. Can this Saints team create some turnovers early? I mean, because this crowd will be ready to roar. This crowd will be ready to cheer for any good thing that this team can go out there and produce, but they've got to do it.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And, the last question I have for you, Sean Payton, in the Sean Payton era, the Saints have been remarkable on short weeks, on holidays, on weird schedules. And, I feel like that kind of speaks a lot to just the coaching staff's ability to install a plan in a short period of time. As someone who kind of dealt with some of that, in your career, what would you say? Is that accurate? Should Sean Payton kind of excel in that kind of compressed week?
They do. There are not a lot of new things that you're going to have. Normally, you may have up to 10 to 12 new things when you play a team. This week, they may have 4 to 5. And so it'll be basically them running their base offense on things that they really feel comfortable in. And then I think what gives them a little more comfort is the head coach, Sean McDermott. They have coached against him when he was back in Carolina. So they're familiar with some of the things that they do from a schematic standpoint. Now, you still have to put the players in, but from a schematic standpoint, Sean is familiar with that.
Gotcha. And I will have one more for you before I let you go. So a lot of players out here today that, you weren't expecting to see. Who would you say your X factor is on the Saints kind of to help overcome these injuries, whether it be on offense or defense?
I can't say he's 100% healthy, but Taysom Hill. I mean, Taysom Hill and a guy like Kenny Stills, his speed, I think those are two equalizers when you talk about having to manufacture a power runner, a power type player, and then Kenny Stills, his speed, you've got to hit him for some type of shot play.
Gotcha. Well, thanks, Deuce, so much. Again, this has been Deuce McAllister's Ingredients to Saints Victory. We'll see what happens. Good luck with the call.
Thank you so much.
All right, man. All right, and there you have it. Again, this is the Bud Light Ingredients to Saints Success live chat. You just got Deuce McAllister's Ingredients to Saints Victory today. This is all sponsored by Bud Light. Bud Light has its ingredients proudly displayed on a label. It's hops, barley, water, and rice. And the Saints ingredients are a bit more complicated because we don't know what they're all going to be yet. Like Deuce said, I think is a good point. Whatever Taysom Hill's role is today, I think it's going to be vitally important to make sure this Saints offense is able to just move. I mean, that's been the most frustrating thing about watching these Saints games to this point is, the defense is good. But a defense is kind of at the mercy of the offense because they don't get to decide when they go on the field. They don't get to decide where they go on the field. They don't get to decide, hey, I want to be in great field position. If you get tossed in the field in a quick change situation, you're going to have a hard time. And that's what happened last week. The first interception by Trevor Simeon set up the Eagles in the not in the red zone, but right outside the red zone. And that's a tough situation for any defense. The pick six, obviously the defense can't do anything about that. And then the Mark Ingram fumble last week set up the Eagles again for another score and these short fields. And you can say the defense has to be better, but, I don't think, you can have a championship caliber defense that still struggles in those situations. And you have to understand the defense and understand the situations you're putting them in. Have you seen this defense allow a whole lot of 80-yard drives? Have you seen a lot of 70-yard, even 60-yard drives, extended drives for scores, or even better, extended drive for touchdowns? They're very rare, right? And this is a good defense, and they know they'll get you eventually. They'll let you get little chunks in your side of the field, and then they're going to come after you. And putting them in the right situation to be able to tee off is one of the more important roles of the offense outside of scoring points, right? Think about all the times you've seen the Saints at least get the ball in the 40s, in between the 40s, and be able to punt and pin the other team deep, right? How many times has that ended in a long drive for a score? How many times has that ended in a drive at all? In most cases, it's been a turnover, 3 and out. They forced that fumble last week against Washington. They did it 3 times. One almost was a safety. The other 2 went straight for points. And those are the type of plays that you're setting up your defense for success. What's happened the last few weeks is you're setting up the defense for failure. And that is on the quarterback. It's also on the running backs. It's also on, whatever you want to call Taysom Hill. And their ability to do that, to get that first down and start that drive and extend that drive, even just to get it into a situation where you can confidently say, hey, Blake, pin him deep, right? You don't want him punting from his 10, his 15, his 30. You want him punting from the 40 to the 50 so he can just, dip that nose down and just pop it up, use the pitching wedge and get him in there and get him inside the 10. And when the offense does that and allows the defense to pin its ears back and go after the quarterback and make a play, more often than not, they've done it, right? When you leave them on the field too long, when you put them in bad situations, you're going to get bad results. And that's what's happened the last few weeks. So I'm not worried about the defense. I'm worried about the offense. The offense needs to step up today. Trevor Simeon, I think the coaching staff is confident in him, and that's great. He has not done anything to this point to instill confidence in me personally. Besides be very effective late in games, which is good to see. It's a good quality to have. More than one thing can be true. You can have been playing badly and also have been playing well late in games, because those are 2 different things. And he does one of those things incredibly well. He does the other one inconsistently at best. And that's what has to change today for the Saints to win this game. They need to move the ball. I don't even need points. They need to extend drives. They need to get the ball out of the shadow of their own goalpost on a drive so they can put the defense in position to get them the ball back in a better situation, because that's what this team is right now. This is a field position. This is a, body blows type team. It just is. And you got to be able to do it. Well, let's get to some comments here. We got Chemo Slice with a question about the running game. Do you see a heavy dose of Tony Jones or Ty or both? I mean, you're going to get a heavy dose of Tony Jones because he's the only running back available. I mean, Ty Montgomery will be involved in some way, but, he's not a running back. He is a running back, but he's not a guy who came into the year as a running back. So he's not going to be a guy you want to give a full load at the running back position to. He's also a guy who had one of the more gruesome finger injuries I've seen in quite a while. Sean Payton said it actually came through the skin. It was a compound fracture of that pinky. And while you can say the pinky is the least important finger, it's still an important finger. That's why it's on your hand. And I have to imagine he had some sort of surgery and it's recovered, but, it has to have some impact as a pass catcher. So I think his role will be as a running back. But how much of a role do you want that to be? I think it's more likely that he's more involved on special teams, and he's kind of a special teams ace who is kind of a reliever at the running back position. But again, if that hand is affecting him as a pass catcher, that limits what you can do as a running back, right? His role would be kind of a 3rd down step back type. But can he do that? Do you trust him to do that? That's the question for me. But yeah, I think this is what Tony Jones has been waiting for. He earned that number 2 job out of camp. He struggled early on. He got hurt. It's showtime. This is your moment. This is your chance to do it. And he's going to get it. And we're going to have to see it. But yeah, I think that's what you're going to see. And I hope, I'm not going to say I predict, because every time I predict this, it doesn't happen. But I hope that Taysom Hill is heavily involved as a quarterback today, along with Tony Jones. I want to see more of a split. I want to see more of a 60-40 split. And you paid the guy. Taysom Hill got signed to that 4-year, 5-year, whatever it was, $40 to $60 million hybrid deal where if he starts at quarterback, he gets more money. I don't know why you signed him to that deal. I don't know why you hash that out now if you're not planning on doing something with him at the quarterback position. And that's what I want to see today. And I think it's going to be an important part. And I think the Saints, as much as they don't want to do it, they need to embrace this kind of dual quarterback thing that they've been appearing to be shy about and kind of not wanting to pull the trigger on for some reason. They have the perfect setup to do it. But they still do these one-off plays. I think they just need to grit their teeth and just commit to having a dual quarterback system because I think it will work. I think it will. They just need to figure out a way to do it. And it's not as easy as it sounds. No starting quarterback wants to come off the field. There's rhythm questions involved here. If you remember back against I want to say the Falcons. Yes. Falcons. Yeah, against the Falcons. Trevor Simeon's fumble in that game came when he left the field for a Taysom Hill. I think Taysom Hill had 2 snaps through 2 passes. Trevor Simeon comes back out and immediately, Teron Armstead gets beat. He gets blown up from behind. Fumbles. It's not his fault, but you have to wonder, rhythm is a thing. Rhythm throughout a game. Rhythm within the pocket. Rhythm of the pass rush. I think it's a lot easier to get caught off guard by your left tackle blowing a block and not being able to react to it and identify it when you're not in that kind of flow of the game. And that's a question that you have to answer. But I do think that it will be a net positive for a team that just cannot move the ball. They need to get Taysom Hill out there. They need to get him snaps at quarterback. I don't want to see him as a running back. I want to see him as a quarterback, and I want to see him drop back with a threat to throw the ball. And it's just got to happen. It's got to happen. Anyway, good question. Chemo thinks Saints 23, Bills 17. I as little confidence as I should have, I feel like this is a game the Saints win, mainly because they win these games. Sean Payton has never lost on a federal holiday or Halloween, and that is to say, we talked about this with Deuce a little bit, that short week planning is impressive. And I think the Saints do it as well as anybody. And that's why they have an advantage in these situations. Now, they're not as familiar with the Bills as some of the other teams they've played on Thanksgiving. They played the Falcons twice. A team that obviously they're very familiar with. They played the Vikings last year on Christmas, another team they're very familiar with. It wasn't quite as short of a week. It was a Friday game, but it was still a compressed schedule. So it'll be interesting. I don't know. Sean Payton said last week or 2 weeks ago that they have people doing advanced scouting. They say we're taking it one game at a time or blah, blah, blah. They actually do have members of the coaching staff doing look ahead scouting so that you get into this week and you already have a head start. I don't know how much of that you can do throughout the course of a season of a team you haven't played. I mean, it's been years. It's a completely different team since the last time they played, and different coach, different players, different quarterback. So I think on both sides of the equation, there's going to be some guesses happening. And I think you might see some big plays. The Saints need to be the team taking advantage of those guesses. Let's see. Steve is back. Yeah, respectable would be nice, right? Yeah, I mean, I would love to see a game. I would love to see a game that Trevor Simeon doesn't go into the fourth quarter down 20 points. Because he's shown the ability to come all the way back. I'd like to see him, prove that kind of fourth quarter mettle in a game where he doesn't need 3 touchdowns, 3 scores to make it interesting. Because I think, I've heard a lot of the term garbage time thrown around. It would be garbage time unless you make it all the way back, which the Saints have done in 2 of those 3 games. And they gave themselves a chance in week 11 in Philadelphia. There was a 14-point game with 10 minutes to go. That's not over. And it was 33-7 entering the fourth quarter. So, I would love to see Trevor Simeon be able to show the abilities that allow him to have those big games in the fourth quarter, in a close game, in a game where it could go either way, and the Saints take control of it rather than the Saints having to just claw their way back in. Because I think that there are attributes to Trevor Simeon that are impressive in the fourth quarter, and they get lost in the fact that they've been down by so much at those points. But I think, he has an ability to just stay even keeled. He doesn't get rattled. He doesn't get outside of his head. He just does his thing. And later in the game, the defense gets tired. They open up a little bit, and he's able to make things work. But you got to get there. You got to play smart. You got to play turnover-free football. You got to take it to the defense somehow, some way. And maybe Nick Vannett can have an impact. Maybe Tony Jones can show something. It's tough. It's tough. The Saints are 6.5-point underdogs in this game at home. They're 6.5-point underdogs to a Bills team that lost last week while allowing 5 touchdowns to Jonathan Taylor. That's the team. That's the team that's a touchdown favorite on the road at the Superdome. That ain't right. If I'm the Saints, I'm pissed off about that. If I'm the Saints defense, if I'm the Saints offense, I'm pissed off about that. But you got no one cares. You got to do something about it. And this has got to be the week. I've heard a lot of people tell me the season's over, that, they should just worry about getting a draft pick, blah, 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 go draft a quarterback. They're 5-5. They're currently in the playoff field. If the season ended today, the Saints would be in the playoffs. That season, what do you mean over? What do you mean over? They could still win the NFC South, but they have to get back on track. They have to get the offense moving. One win, and all of a sudden things feel completely different. A 4-game losing streak, then you're in trouble. This is a huge game. It's about as big as a cross-conference matchup can be, in my opinion, just because the stakes of getting on that skid are so demoralizing. And the further out you get, the less impactful that head-to-head sweep of the Bucs will be. If you can get to 10-8, 10-7, and you sweep the Bucs, I think you win the division. It'd be close, but I think you have a chance. If you go to 5-6, that means you would have to go 5-1 the rest of the way, and that is unlikely. So this is a huge game. It's not a death sentence if the Saints lose. They're still right there in the wild card race, and they will be the rest of the way. This team is not going to throw in the towel. This team is not going to tank, no matter how many tweets it sees. But you gotta get something going. All right, we got one more from Michael Nelson. Got to get Josh Allen off his spot and keep some containment. Lattimore's going to have to keep Diggs under wraps. Yeah, Josh Allen's tough, because you get him off his spot, he's going to run, and, he's not quite as zone read happy as Jalen Hurts, but he does a lot of the same things. He's more of a pocket passer, but, that guy gets out in space, he's going. He's more of a Daniel Jones. He does a lot of those similar things, but he also has the insane arm talent that Daniel Jones does not have. And he's just good. He's just a good quarterback. They were in the AFC Championship last year. They lost to Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs, but this is a team that is much better than 6-4 record might indicate. But maybe the Saints are catching them at the right time. Who knows? I think there's energy in that dome. There will be. There's going to be a lot of Bills fans, but I think that Marshawn's going to do Marshawn things. I assume he's going to lock up with Diggs. You never know. You never know what they're going to do with Paulson Adebo, with Bradley Roby, with some of these other guys. PJ Williams going to be back out there in the nickel. I think losing CJ Gardner-Johnson has had a big impact. I think losing the depth along the defensive line has had a bigger impact. With Marcus Davenport's not out there today. I mean, who you're relying on? Carl Granderson and Cam Jordan? And who else? Is that it? Is that all you're going to get? That's a tough situation. So, yeah, it's going to be important for the offense to put the defense in winning situations. And it's going to be important for the defense to take advantage of those situations. I think that's the key here. Brett Maher really could make himself endear himself to Saints fans by making a couple kicks. He made one field goal last week. He missed an extra point, which has been the bugaboo. Got to be able to score in ones and threes when you're this type of team. All right, one more. Feel a huge day for our defense. And if Ingram plays, he balls. Yeah, Ingram's out. So it's going to be Tony Jones. But yeah, I mean, we have been waiting. We have been waiting for one of those, really dominant defensive performances. You got some of it in Seattle, a game against Geno Smith. But you really haven't had one of those 12-10 beatdown games against the team that's, healthy. If you remember 2019, you had that 12-10 win over Dallas at the Dome. I think that's what this game has to be more like than some of the other games we've seen. Because the defense can do it. It's a matter of figuring it out. But all right, I think that's it from me. Again, my name is Jeff Nowak, WWL digital sports producer. Pop my name up there so you can hear it and see it. Make sure to check it out. Check me out on Twitter at Jeff_Nowak. Make sure to head over to odyssey.com/WWL for all the latest headlines, news, and analysis. Check us out on YouTube. I'll pop up the channel for you below. And make sure to subscribe. Make sure to let me know what you think of some of these videos. Love to hear from y'all. And yeah, we're about 90 minutes from kickoff. If you're still bored after this, head over to Odyssey or head over to check out the pregame show. I say head over, but you have to kind of turn the dial. WWL AM 870 FM 1053 and the Odyssey app. Christian Garrick, Bobby Hebert, Mike Detillier getting you all the way up to kickoff. It's at 7:20 p.m. over on NBC. Got the 6-4 Bills visiting the 5-5 Saints. Bills Mafia is in town. If you need a lifetime table anytime soon, you might have to fight for it because they like to jump off stuff and break them. So I've heard and seen on Twitter. So keep that in mind. If the Saints lose today, we might get cleared out of lifetime tables, and that's not what you want. Anyway, this has been the WWL radio pregame live chat for Saints Bills, the Saints ingredients to Saints success with Deuce McAllister. Deuce McAllister, I can't talk right now. Sorry, it's been a long day. Deuce McAllister, sponsored by Bud Light, with the ingredients proudly printed on the label. That would be hops, barley, water, and rice. The Saints ingredients to victory is a little more complicated, and we'll have to wait and see who brings them. But until then, again, my name is Jeff Nowak, WWL digital sports producer. Thanks for everyone who tuned in, and who dat?